Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Merritt, isn't it true that your organization, PBMs, Pharmacy Benefit Managers, isn't it true that 3 of your member companies control over 75% of the PBM market?
I don't have the exact numbers, but there are.
I have. It is 78% to be exact.
Yeah,
78% are controlled by 3 different companies.
Yeah, and they
3
offer
only.
significant discounts for their customers, too.
Mr. Merritt, are you aware of the term MAC, maximum allowable cost?
Yes.
You're aware of that. And you understand that that's a PBM-generated list of drugs that determines the maximum amount that an insurance sponsor will pay for a medication. In other words, they tell the pharmacy what you're going to pay.
Yeah,
That's what MAC is.
It's created by Medicaid, right, not PBM.
And there are no 2 MAC lists that are the same. Each PBM generates their own separate list, correct?
Right, kind of like PSAOs have their own list for how much
they
sell
choose
the
the products they want on it, and they are the ones who dictate that. So on the other side, PBMs also have a MAC list on how much they will charge the insurance company. And that's a different MAC list. Is that correct?
Sometimes all the different companies are different.
Yeah, all the different companies are different, but they have one list here that they're going to reimburse the dispenser at. They have another list here that they're going to charge the insurance company that they're representing. So you got 2 different lists here. Don't you find that somewhat awkward, and don't you find that to be a situation where a PBM could distort the market greatly?
No, because that's a decision negotiated in a contract between a client and a PBM, and there are a million different kinds of contracts, including those, and if the client thinks it's in their interest to have that,
But the point is,
we're gonna do
Mr. Merritt, is that you're deciding what you're going to reimburse the dispenser for it, and you're deciding what you're going to charge the insurance company for it. Therein lies the difference. Are you familiar with the term spread pricing?
Yes.
You are familiar with that, and you understand what spread pricing is.
Yeah.
That's when the price of the drug goes up. It costs the pharmacy more to buy it, but yet you're still reimbursing at the lower rate. For instance, in Turing, when Daraprim was $13.50 a pill, if you had it on the MAC at $13.50, if you didn't increase that MAC and she went up to $750 a pill, you'd still be reimbursing that dispenser $13.50, yet you would be charging the insurance company $750.
No.
That's spread pricing. That's what's happening because you're not updating, the PBMs are not updating their MAC list.
That's inaccurate. MAC lists
That is accurate. If
they're
that's
updated
inaccurate, then let me ask you, Mr. Merritt, why is it that just recently, and let me quote here, at a recent hearing of the Judiciary Committee, one of your largest member companies, who I notice aren't here today, and I'm very disappointed by that. I'm sorry that you have to represent them. We invited them, I believe, Mr. Chairman, and they decided not to come. Anyway, at the Judiciary Committee, one of your largest member companies testified in December that they have teams of people who constantly update MAC lists. Is that correct?
I don't know about that specific company, but industry-wide, PBMs update MAC lists regularly.
They update them regularly, and that was the testimony in the Judiciary Committee. If that's true, don't you find it somewhat odd that CMS found it necessary to mandate, to require that these MAC lists be updated every 7 days, and that 26 states have passed laws requiring PBMs to update their MAC list? Don't you find that somewhat odd if you got teams of companies doing this?
Well, you just don't know why that happened. Drugstores want higher payments. They may have lobbied for those changes and got them.
Drugstores just want to get paid what they're paying for it. When companies go up from $13.50 to $750, that's a problem. When we're only getting reimbursed, when they're only getting reimbursed $13.50. And that's where the spread pricing comes in. I noticed that the profits of the PBMs have increased enormously over the past few years. In fact, almost doubled. And I find that very disturbing, particularly when you're talking about spread pricing. Let me ask you something, Mr. Mayor, and I want to switch gears here real quick, okay? And just let me ask you something. As you know, I formerly owned 3 independent retail pharmacies. I had a family member who got a prescription filled at my pharmacy. She got it filled at my pharmacy. Later on that night, she got a call at home from the insurance company encouraging her to use mail-order pharmacy. A mail-order pharmacy that is owned by the PBM. Now, don't you find that a conflict of interest when a PBM not only owns the pharmacy, but they're reimbursing here? They're setting the reimbursement? Is that not a conflict of interest? How can it not be a conflict of
Federal
interest?
Trade Commission looked into that and said there are no conflicts and these benefit patients.
Mr. Mayor, that is a conflict of interest. I've actually had experiences where I've adjudicated a claim. For those of you who don't know, adjudicate means my computer calls his computer. It tells me what they're going to pay me. I've adjudicated a claim, and it told me they weren't going to pay for it. They weren't going to cover it. While this patient was still in my lobby, they got a call from the PBM saying, hey, you can use our mail order pharmacy. That's a conflict of interest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.